Spider-Man has been my superhero ever since I was a little kid. I still remember getting up early before school to watch the original 1967 cartoon, and to this day I can still belt out,
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang. Wherever there's a hang, you'll find a Spider-Man.
Those lyrics have been living rent-free in my head for over 50 years. And I think that's because Spider-Man has always been the most relatable superhero. Peter Parker isn't a billionaire. He isn't a god. He isn't an alien. He's just a regular kid trying to survive school, awkward relationships, money problems, and life, who also happens to swing between skyscrapers and fight crime. Spider-Man, Brand New Day, understands exactly how to evolve our friendly neighborhood wall crawler into a more mature story. Peter Parker isn't a kid anymore. He's becoming a man, figuring out adulthood, relationships, responsibility, and maybe even going through a little spider puberty. I thought this was a terrific next chapter for Peter Parker's story. Now, I'm still not putting it on the same shelf as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, which remains my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, but it came a lot closer than I ever expected. Visually, this movie felt far more grounded than recent MCU entries. The lighting has texture, the city feels lived in, and thankfully, everything doesn't look like it was filmed inside a giant green screen warehouse. There are several web-swinging sequences where I honestly caught myself holding my breath. For the first time in a while, I actually felt the height of those skyscrapers and the danger with every swing. The action absolutely delivers too. The opening montage is packed with inventive fight choreography that feels like a love letter to decades of Spider-Man comics, while also tipping its hat to Sam Raimi's original 2002 film. Scorpion, Boomerang, Tombstone, the Hand Ninjas. There are so many villains flying across the screen that if you blink, you'll miss somebody. But what I appreciated most wasn't the action, it was the humanity. Director Destin Daniel Cretton has always had empathy running through his work, going all the way back to Short Term 12, and he brings that same emotional focus here. That's what gives Brand New Day its beating heart. Several scenes genuinely landed for me. Peter quietly watching MJ and Ned move on with their lives after graduating. The apartment party where he sees MJ with her new boyfriend. That heartbreaking moment when MJ kisses Spider-Man, only for Peter to realize she's being possessed by someone who's simply toying with his emotions. The Lego scene with the crew. Ned instinctively repeating their old handshake, triggering flashes of a friendship he can't quite remember. And finally, Frank Castle's sniper shot that nearly ends everything. I haven't felt this emotionally invested in a Spider-Man movie since Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2. That's what I loved most. The movie understands that action and heart don't compete with each other. They make each other stronger. But none of that works without Tom Holland. I know some people call him a bland actor. I couldn't disagree more. This is now his 7th appearance in the MCU, and he still feels like he was born to play Peter Parker. He's earnest, funny, awkward, self-deprecating, exactly who Spider-Man has always been. And once the mask goes on, Holland fires off Spidey's trademark quips and one-liners like he's been doing it his entire life. That's Spider-Man. But what I loved most is that this movie finally explores the emotional cost of Doctor Strange's memory-wiping spell from No Way Home. Peter has lost MJ. He's lost Ned. The Avengers don't remember him. Aunt May is gone. He's carrying enormous grief while trying to convince himself that keeping everyone at arm's length is somehow the right thing to do. He's isolated. He's lonely. And he buries himself in crime fighting because it's the only thing left that still gives his life purpose. His only real companion is Evie, his custom-built AI assistant, and I smiled when I realized Naomi Watts was voicing her. It's a small touch, but it reinforces just how alone Peter really is. The supporting cast is terrific, but my secret MVP? John Bernthal as Frank Castle. Spider-Man and the Punisher shouldn't work together, yet somehow they're the modern odd couple. Only, instead of sharing a Manhattan apartment, they're hanging out aboard Frank Castle's boat, the Golden Girl. Every scene they share crackles with energy. I also loved seeing Mark Ruffalo return as Bruce Banner. His conversations with Peter about control, anger, and responsibility gave the story another emotional layer. And when Hulk and Spider-Man finally clash, I honestly thought Peter's head was about to be popped like a grape. That's what separates the great Spider-Man stories from the forgettable ones. You care about Peter Parker first. You surround him with characters who matter. Then all the superhero spectacle becomes the icing on the cake. This movie remembers that. Beneath all the impressive visual effects, giant action scenes, and comic book mayhem, there's still a surprisingly heartfelt story about loneliness, friendship, and growing up. So I'm landing at 3.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I already have the itch to see it again on the big screen. So that is the sign of a good Spidey movie. No, it doesn't dethrone Spider-Man 2 or the animated Spider-Verse movies for me. It's overstuffed and 20 minutes too long and aggressively trying to check off the list of new additions into the next Marvel movies. But it's a really entertaining new chapter and a subtle reboot, and it's a surprisingly emotional one for the friendly neighborhood wall crawler. And judging by the crowd I saw it with, this movie is going to make an absolutely obscene amount of money. With great power comes great opening weekends. Now somebody get Peter Parker a raise. The Avengers clearly aren't paying overtime.